Chapter 58. I'm in a large room with 5 other girls at Jameson. We all have hearings today. 4 of the 5 girls are sleeping, or at least pretending to. The 5th girl is talking on a cell phone. I have my computer with me, and after I ask 3 times, the woman at the front desk gives me the wireless password. No one has a computer. I feel bad using mine, but the other girls don't seem to care. Everyone in this room is in her own bubble of unhappiness, and there's not a lot of sharing. I'm grateful for that. Since I have access to the wireless code, I decided to take a look at the Jameson system. This system is of course protected, but the firewall isn't very secure. I've looked at a lot of code for electronic buffering. It's not a very sophisticated network because I see the transport layer and recognize it immediately as something I've gotten through. I'm thinking that not many hacker kids end up here. I'm not a hacker kid, but I have potential in this area. I get in right away. I go to Lenore's account. When I look at her email, I suddenly feel sorry for her. She appears to be massively overworked. There is an email from juvenile court, from schools, from police department, mountains of the stuff. I see references to all kinds of medical documents. There are reports of physical abuse and criminal behavior. I feel sick now, in a new way. I really shouldn't be reading these things. It's all too personal, and it's not about me, and what I'm doing is wrong. I have Dell's work files on my computer. I transferred everything when I put together his laptop, but I never actually looked at any of the stuff. Now I open up one of his files called DDSS, and I read Dell Duke's System of the Strange. 1. Misfit, 2. Oddball, 3. Lone Wolf, 4. Weirdo, 5. Genius, 6. Dictator, 7. Mutant. There are many names in most of the categories. I go through them. Kwang Ha is a lone wolf, and Patty is a dictator. I see that Mai is a junior dictator. Then I see that for mutant there's only one name. Del Duke has listed himself. At first, I'm appalled, but then I realize he's only trying to make sense of the world. He's looking for a way to put things in categories. He's seeing people as different species. Of course, he's wrong. All of us are all of those things. I'm no genius. I'm as much of a lone wolf or a misfit or a weirdo as anyone. When it came to the garden, I was a dictator. If there was anything I figured out in the last months is that you can't find labels to organize living things, but you can't put people in any kind of group or order. It just doesn't work that way. I close my computer, and in only a handful of minutes, a woman comes into the room to tell us that lunch is being served. I'm not hungry, but I follow the group to the dining area. They don't have much of a selection for vegetarians, but I pick my way through a salad and some spinach with alarmingly bright orange colored cheese sauce. At least, I think it's cheese sauce. It seems better not to ask. Everyone else sitting at my table is having a hot dog. When we are finished, they bring us each a bowl of vanilla ice cream with sprinkles on top. The girl next to me starts to cry when she sees the sprinkles. I'm wondering if she's worried about the long-term side effects of consuming artificial food coloring. It's a valid concern, but I see she's not crying about that because she has a horrible burn on her arm and she picks at it as she weeps. The burn is the size of a cherry. I get a bad feeling in my stomach thinking that someone did this to her. Maybe that's even why she's here. I shut my eyes and do my best to imagine I'm back in the new garden. And before I know it, my ice cream bowl looks like soup, and the colored sprinkles have all sunk. Lenore comes to get me. She says that she likes the way my hair looks today. It hasn't changed since she picked me up, so she might just be trying to think of something positive to say to me, but I smile anyways. I realize that it's a true smile. I will go forward into the world and do my best to be the daughter that my parents would have wanted me to be. I'm not brave, it's just that all the other choices have been thrown out the window. Lenore takes me to the grief counselor, whose name is Mrs. Bode Ernst. Sitting in her office, I realize that I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Anymore. Exactly 7 letters. Just a coincidence. Not long ago, I had a lot of fear. Now it feels like there's not a lot left to be afraid of. Lenore says, "Today is all just procedure. You'll see the judge in private. He might ask some questions. There is paperwork to be signed." Mrs. Bode Ernst smiles, and I understand that she's thinking this is good news. Or maybe she is just smiling to be encouraging. I don't share her optimism. The grief counselor says, "The beginning of anything is hard. I know you've been through a lot. We're going to get you in school, and you'll make all kinds of new friends. Before you know it, you're going to be right back in the swing of things." I think about telling her that my school experience was never great, and besides Margaret Z. Buckle, I don't have any close friends until I met Mai and Kwang Ha and lived at the Gardens of Glenwood. But I don't want to upset her. How could she know that I never had that kind of swing? Lenore and I return to her car. She explains that the judge will take legal responsibility for me. I'm hoping that it will be a woman and a person of color who sees me and understands that I'm different, even strange, as Del Duke figured out, but I still have value. The court will now call the shots. I can tell that Lenore feels bad right now, but none of this is her fault. I want her to understand. I want to tell her that I'm sorry. Instead, I reach over and touch her arm. Just my fingertips. After that, I don't have to say anything. I can tell she understands. I go into the girls' bathroom in the courthouse. I need a few minutes by myself. The mirror in here is not made of glass. It's only polyester film coating made with aluminum stretched perfectly flat against a rectangular board. So you can't break this mirror. I'm guessing they think that people who end up here don't need any more bad luck. I open my mouth and stare. Because my skin is dark, my teeth look very white. They are straight and I think a good size, but they are permanent teeth. There's no hiding it. I shut my eyes. I can see my always smiling mother and my strong father. I hear their words voiced in so many ways, since as early as I can remember trying to protect me. Were they too worried about me to look out for themselves? Or is life so filled with random action that the very notion of caution is futile? If the last few months have proven anything, it's that I don't need more theory, but rather more experience with reality, even though the dose I've received is enough to last a lifetime. When I see the judge, I will try to convey a positive attitude, while at the same time monitoring my blood pressure and other vital signs. There have been cases of stress-induced cardiomyopathy, which is also known as a broken heart syndrome. Chapter 59. Del was getting ready. He picked out a red tie and put on his suit. It had been the first time he told his boss a version of the truth about why he wouldn't be at work. He was going to juvenile court to be there for one of the kids that he counseled. Instead of feeling like a lazy slacker, he had thought he could hear admiration in the voice of his supervisor. Or maybe the guy was just yawning. Now, as he pulled up the pants on his suit, he was surprised that he was able to button the waistband. The last time he found himself in this situation, he had to use his safety pin to keep the pants closed. This was solid evidence that he had been losing weight. Not enough that he could get out of his car when he was pinned up against a van, but still, it felt good to see his stomach receding. Down the hall in number 28, Patty debated what to wear and settled on a white silk shirt with 2 embroidered doves. It came from Vietnam. She already had on a black skirt from a discount store and red slippers. The doves were a symbol of love. The black skirt was a show of respect, and the red slippers were, of course, lucky. Probably no one in authority would pick up the symbolism, but if they did, Patty wanted to give the right impression of her intent. Across town, Mai sat in her high school history class and stared out the window. It wasn't fair. She, of all people, should be there. She'd started this. The clock on the far wall behind the teacher's head hadn't moved in what seemed like forever. The woman was going on and on about ancient Rome when it became clear to Mai that the only thing that mattered was a courthouse in downtown Bakersfield. By the time the bell rang, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Mai explained to the woman in the office that there was a family emergency, and then she used a trick. She started speaking in Vietnamese, rapid fire. That unnerved people. The next thing she knew, she had a permission slip to get Kwang Ho out of biology, where he wasn't paying attention to a short film on mitosis. And only minutes later, the 2 Wins were walking out the front doors on their way downtown. Mai looked back at the school and saw a decal in a classroom window. It was of a sunflower, bathed in the hard light. It glowed as if it were made of gold. Mai took that to be a good sign.